Hey there, I'm Ryan Somerville, and this is my podcast where I bring on my fellow climbers, talk about climbing and everything outside of it. Today I have Audrey. How do you say your last name?
Foronda.
Foronda, okay. I thought that's what it was, okay. And I've known Audrey for, I think, maybe 2018-ish or 2017-ish, but we both met each other at our local climbing gym, Cliffs of Id in LA. And one thing about Audrey is that if you just take a look at her YouTube channel, it is quite phenomenal of like how many climbs she's logged. Any place on the West Coast, she's done probably most of the climbs there, and just creating a huge catalog, and it's quite admirable. But nonetheless, she's just a crusher, a very just pushing outdoors as much as she can every weekend. And I mean, on my phone, I'm subscribed to her on my YouTube channel. I feel like I'm always getting updates of all her climbs, but it's also awesome to see her in the climbing gym and seeing her progress. But yeah, with that said, hello, Audrey.
Hey, Ryan.
Hopefully that wasn't too much of a mouthful, but so I guess the first thing I like to ask is just how long you've been climbing.
I think I've been climbing for like 6 or 7 years now.
Okay. Yeah. How'd you get into, or what brought you to climbing?
I think like most people, I went to Cliffs of Id on like a guest pass, and then I was like immediately hooked.
Coworker?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think for me, I can't remember what. It was my ex-girlfriend. She was like, "Oh, let's go rock climbing." But yeah, it's most people's stories is like, coworker. Mm-hmm. But when you got in there, was it just immediately hooked, or was it bouldering even, or was it?
I just went bouldering, and then after that, I immediately like bought new shoes. Went to REI. Probably bought like that classic. What is it? That black and orange like chalk bag that everyone buys for their first one off of Amazon.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. I got like a Star Wars one.
Okay, I feel like that's everyone's first chalk bag. But yeah. I went like almost every day once I got my membership.
Oh wow. Okay. Was it at what gym was it at?
At Cliffs of Id.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it was like right when they opened.
Yeah.
Was the rope section even?
I don't think it was done yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay, so you were because I had started right when LA Boulders had opened. That's always like how, or a little bit after, but wow. Okay, so you were there from the very beginning, and then did you like when you got into climbing? Did you immediately like sort of find a group of friends, or did you like bring more people into climbing?
Yeah, I think one of my friends that I just met at the climbing gym, Kevin, I met him like early on when I first started climbing. He just invited me to Bishop, and I didn't really know him at all, but I was just down and excited. And I met a lot of people from that first Bishop trip.
When you went to Bishop, was it like how far into climbing were you?
I was just climbing for like 2 or 3 months.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And I remember like one of the first climbs I tried was monkey hang, I think.
Oh yes.
Happies,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really good one were you like what grades were you climbing at that point?
Oh gosh, I was climbing probably like B4 in the gym.
Oh, okay.
And so like
that's really
monkey
good.
hang was hard.
Were you able to send it in that time?
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
So you got the climbing bug pretty much at the gym, but like climbing outdoors, was that like a magical experience? Yeah,
I went to like Stony Point a lot. I remember one of the first times I went, I brought my cousin who doesn't climb at all. We rented a crash pad at I think like Outdoor Adventures, like it's in like West LA, but they like closed down. But I went with my cousin. She didn't even have climbing shoes, and we borrowed the climbing shoes from another climber.
Oh, for her to...
Yeah. And
did she stick with it?
No, she didn't stick with it. But we did that first climb that you see when you go into Stony Point. You remember that? It's like a kind of like a highball. Yeah,
it's a Boulder one, or I'm going to get it wrong, but... and you just were on that the whole day, or...
I remember, that was one of the first climbs I did, and we went to other places in Stony Point, but I remember from then on I was just really addicted.
I mean, it seems like since then, I mean, the amount of climbs you've done outdoors, seemingly from like all the way to like V7 or whatever, it feels like you've done all those climbs, and just like Bishop, Red Rocks, Moe's. Did you go to Joe's?
I went to Joe's too.
Okay,
yeah.
Damn, yeah. So it just seems like you've just cataloged a lot. And I guess looking at how many climbs you have logged, do you kind of gravitate towards the like getting as much traction or like as many climbs as you can instead of just like finding one single project?
Yeah.
And like it seems like that's where you're going at.
Yeah. I think for me personally, I love just doing a lot of volume.
Yeah.
I like trying a lot of different styles. Obviously, usually the classics.
Yeah.
But I go to the crag super early. I can spend the whole day out there, and with my friends, we usually do a lot of climbs.
Yeah. It's I mean, I think it was like Paul Robeson said, you seem very consistent about the grade that you climb, and that's like personally, that's like how I go about climbing. Some people can just be like, I want to do this one grade, and probably have done like, they're trying to do 12s and they're like, oh, one V8, maybe 110, but if you have a good like pyramid of climbs that you have, like going from V0, V4, and then like if your top is like V8, then it's like you have so many like other climbs to support that you could do all sort of styles of climbing. And I definitely look at your catalog and it's just like, it seems like you do all styles. Is there any like styles that you don't like doing though?
I'm trying to push myself to do more like burly climbs. So I've been trying to like lift more, like do the bench press, overhead press, just trying to just get stronger in order to like do more of those like compression climbs. But I would say I'm better on like vertical like climbs with a lot of crimps. Crimps
is what you gravitate towards.
I think I'm pretty good on crimps.
It's the same as me. It's like I mean, what I realized recently how weak I am with pinches. Are you good with pinches?
I'm okay, but I practiced on the pinch block when I was injured.
I guess maybe that's a way to transition to that. Injuries. That's like one thing I actually really wanted to talk about. Was you had a recent injury. How long ago was it?
It was last April. I think last April or May.
So almost coming up on a year. Tell us a little about that and what happened there.
Sure. I was going on a trip to Leavenworth with my friends for the first time. I was super stoked. And we went to this one climb called Busted.
Oh no!
I know. So it's V7/8. And unfortunately, I was at the top. I had both my hands on a sloper. I had a high left heel hook, and I remember very distinctly people like yelling beta at me. And
were you just kind of stuck there?
I think it was very uncomfortable, like just mantling off of these two slopers. And I think with everyone yelling at me, it was so overwhelming. And I think when I started to mantle, I think I dry fired off my left hand.
Oh, like you were in this position.
I was starting to mantle, and I dry fired.
Oh my God.
So in that position, I fell awkwardly, and what happened was my left arm went out first, and it hit the ground, and there was like a sea of pads, but unfortunately my arm hit the ground first.
Before anything else.
It was in between the crash pads, and I remember distinctly like looking at my arm, and it was such a late reaction, but it's like my mind knew what happened, but what happened to my arm happened like 1 second later. Like I looked at my arm, and then I dislocated my elbow.
Oh, so you kind of know what was happening before, and then you saw it like...
Yeah, it was so weird. It's like I feel like my mind knew that like something went wrong, and then when I looked at my arm, I dislocated my elbow, and since I record videos for my YouTube channel, I did get it on tape.
Have you uploaded that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sure I would have seen that, but
right.
And I'm sure there's the reasons why you don't.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really watched it since, but I've shown my friends, and I just remember like. I think my body was in shock. I went in the fight or flight mode, and my adrenaline was just pumping. I could see that something was wrong. People could see it. I could see their faces, and I was just in shock. I pretty much popped like a lot of like ibuprofen, and I covered it with a jacket.
Just so you wouldn't look at it?
Just so no one else could look at it, yeah.
Oh my God.
I remember, Roland, my partner, had to like take my shoes off, and I was in shock, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And my friends that we were with, we just like couldn't decide what to do. They were kind of in shock too. So one of our friends that was coming, like, she's a doctor, and they're like, why don't we wait for her? Like, maybe she can put it back in.
Oh my God.
I was like,
and the elbow is a little, like, I've never heard of anybody like dislocating that.
Yeah, and I remember like people saying, why don't we wait? And I'm like, no, let's just go to the ER.
Yeah.
So it was just like time just slowed down. And once our friend came, she like looked at it. She's like, you should go to a doctor.
Yeah,
like, you should go to the ER now.
There's nothing I could do for you.
Yeah. And then I think there was another person, a stranger, who came up to me and said like, oh, it's gonna hurt to put it back in. Yeah, it was.
There's all this anticipation of like, it's already how much time till your friend like actually arrived and that other person?
Oh gosh, I don't even know.
It just felt like time was distorted.
It felt like forever. Yeah, and I was just so like scared about like what happened, and so Roland had to just like hold my arm because I just needed to feel like some warmth or just pressure because it was just like loose.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty graphic.
You wanted warmth because you wanted to feel like it was like you could feel something on your arm.
Yeah, just feel something because I was just worried like that I wouldn't feel anything, and that is a really bad sign.
Yeah.
So he's taller than me, so he had to kind of like bend down and like hold it, and we.
As you were walking back.
Yeah, like thankfully, like we weren't far from the car, so I can't imagine if I was at Black.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
if I was at Tour de France and I had to hike back,
and then you were like had to go down that road for like 30 minutes, and then like even more. Oh my God.
Yeah. So we went straight to the ER, and I don't know if you've been to Leavenworth.
No, I haven't.
Okay,
no.
So it's a town that is modeled after like, I think, a town in Germany, or like basically it looks like a Disney town. Like there's a lot of old English lettering. It's like a candy.
Is it the wine city that's like out of like, or wine town outside of LA or whatever?
Like
I forgot what
I know.
It looks like
Yeah.
It's like an old German town. Solvang, yeah.
Similar to that, yeah.
Okay.
So like all I could imagine was like, okay, like where is this emergency room? And so everywhere else in Leavenworth has this like old English lettering, but the emergency room is the only place that has just like the red blocks of emergency. So I went to the ER, and they were trying to obviously like console me, and they gave me some pretty good drugs because I remember when
is it like what is it the one that starts with the M?
It was
morphine.
I think
you don't even know.
Morphine. Like,
you're just like,
to be honest, yeah, it was so strong. Like I remember being under, like it was weird. Like I like put the mask on.
Oh, they put the mask. They didn't.
Yeah, I had to breathe it in. Yeah. So whatever it was, I breathed it in, and then I remember my like eyes just like slowly just closing, and I remember being so happy. I was like, this is like,
I'm okay now.
Yeah, because it was weird because I just felt this weird feeling in my elbow the whole time because it's just my body telling me like this is unnatural, something's wrong. And so I remember being under, Roland was next to me, and the doctor, this is a small town. I remember the doctor asking Roland, like, can you help me put it back in?
What?
Like, is there no other doctor?
A nurse?
No other nurse? So there
was
like, I think there was one nurse, there was another person that was maybe a technician. And in my head, when I was on these drugs, I was like, what? Like, yeah. And so he was telling Roland, like, just in case this happens again, I'll teach you how to like put it back in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So, and this doctor was so chill. I mean, he's probably seen a lot of different, accidents.
Probably from climbers, maybe.
Definitely from climbers. Like, so while I was under, he was telling Roland like a story about 3 climbers who were in the mountains like the weekend before who broke their face. like one climber broke their face from like hitting a wall, and so I'm just under like the
and you're hearing this,
and I'm hearing these stories. I'm just like, can you just fix my arm?
Yeah.
You know.
Come on, let's get.
But Roland helped the doctor, and I could hear them count down like 3.
Oh,
2.
when they're gonna like.
Yeah, when they pretty much.
How did they have?
In.
Did they try to straighten out and they like just pulled it like that?
I think Roland had to hold down this arm,
right.
and they had to just like pull it and then put it back into its socket.
How did Roland feel about any of this? I mean, he seems like a very like level-headed guy.
He was so level-headed.
Yeah.
He just knew how to like comfort me.
Right. Yeah.
Tell me everything's okay.
Yeah.
He helped me a lot through that situation because I was freaking out because all that was running through my head was, how am I going to explain this to my parents?
Are they generally concerned about your bouldering career?
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, we've talked about this before, but I did go through another injury the year before that where I tore an ankle ligament from falling between the pads. And
where was this at? Or
this was in Joshua Tree. It's on a climb called La Migra. And I went dynamically to a hold, fell in between the crash pads.
Classic story.
Yeah, so now I have a blubber. I'm pretty anal now about checking everything, but I just thought, oh my gosh, like
because after the first injury, they're just like, were they always just worried, or after that when they started worrying?
Yeah, I think ever since I started climbing, they were worried. But yeah, I couldn't walk for like 3 months from that first injury. And all I could think about was with this injury was, okay, when can I climb again? Yeah. That's all I was thinking again. Like, how long is this recovery going to take?
Wait, sorry, the first or second one?
The second one.
Second one, yeah.
Sorry, with my elbow dislocation, like the thoughts that were running through my head was, how am I going to explain this to my parents? And 2 is like, when can I climb again?
Yeah.
That's just
the mental, like the bad mental space, or like, it's like, how insane are we as climbers to be like, all right, well, this happened, and when can I get back?
And it just sucks. I came all the way, I flew all the way to Leavenworth,
Oh, how many days into the trip was it?
It was 2 or 3 days, so it wasn't the beginning, but we still had like 2 days of climbing. So it sucked. I knew the trip was over. And you never want to be that person, at the crag where an accident happens, but
I mean, it does happen.
It happens, and I think it was, I don't know, when I had to explain to people what happened, they understood like why it happened, but lots of people were like, oh, they teach you like never to put your arms out. I'm like, I know that, like I know how to fall, but it's just from the way I fell, it was just awkward, and unfortunately
you were mantling, and literally your hands literally just naturally just want to go out.
So
was it frustrating, like just people kind of like critiquing you a little bit? It was like, why did that, like not understanding, and it happened the way it did, so
right. It was, I had to deal with a lot after the injury. I think one of the feelings I felt was like embarrassment. Like I was that climber who got injured twice. Like I don't know a lot of climbers who get injured and as extreme as like my injuries. Yeah,
I mean, there's the typical finger injury, whatever, but ones that literally you are put into like some sort of cast or like can't be mobile for like months.
Yeah. So it was really hard, and I almost climbed like every weekend before that. I felt like I was on my peak, like I was my strongest. And I mean, at that day, we got out of the ER room and we went back to the crag.
I mean, I'm sure you weren't doing any climbing, you were just hanging out, right?
Yeah. So I was just hanging out, and at first it was okay because I just realized, I was just trying to be grateful as much as possible. Like, I'm safe, I'm fixed, quote unquote fixed, I'm okay.
Did you feel like your arm was sore, or did it like you felt like there was damage done afterwards?
It was super inflamed. I thought that once you pop it back in, it's fine.
Oh yeah.
But unfortunately, I did go back to LA, and I went to the doctor, and I got an x-ray, and they found like a hairline fracture. Oh. So
did you feel that quite a bit, or did it just feel normal for it to like what had transpired and be like, okay, there's going to be some natural pain, but did it hurt a lot? Or
it did hurt. I mean, with the inflammation, I remember I had a hard time like bringing my arm to like I like mobility, so I remember trying to eat like a burger and I couldn't actually bring my arm all the way up because it was so big and inflamed. And the other things that are difficult to do is to even like take my shirt off. So I just had to use my one arm
just to
take it off. And I remember even taking a shower was difficult. I could only use one arm and to
luckily you're right-handed, right?
Yes, I'm right-handed.
So luckily
it was my left arm, so I could still work. But I remember I couldn't parallel park. I couldn't drive for a little bit because when you parallel park, you got to use this arm. You know, in LA, I was so frustrated. I was like, I got that parking spot.
So you would just like see a parking spot and just be like, I can't do it. So like it just intervened with every part of your normal life. My God. Okay.
I had to really learn how to like adapt and obviously you need an arm. So like I really learned like how difficult it is. To just use one arm, and it was hard because like I said, I went outdoors every weekend and I had all this time and I had no idea what to do with it because I made climbing my life. Right. It was
work and climbing.
It was I dedicated so much time to climbing, like climbing indoors, at the gym, socializing, and then planning for an outdoor trip and going, from Saturday to Sunday. And it was tough. I was mostly surrounded by like my climber friends and my partner is a climber. My roommates are climbers.
All of them are. Oh wow, okay. And then so what did you find to like fill that space with, basically?
I mean, I had to really take a step back and really assess like my relationship with climbing. Really had to like look introspectively about my own ego. Because I play that memory, back in my head a lot, and like what could I have done?
Even
like,
now?
What could I have prevented that from happening? It's like having the blubber, like double checking the crash pads. Like I remember it being cold. I was like, was I properly warmed up? And like sometimes it's tough because I think about like, could I have been better spotted? Of course. It's you go through the stages of grief. Obviously like bargaining, regret, remorse. Right. It took a while to get to that acceptance stage. Sometimes I would be like just grateful for the state that I'm in, but just remorseful that I'm in this position. So I think it was really tough. I was definitely missing and grieving for like the life that I had beforehand.
Besides the grieving part, do you feel like you probably were mildly depressed from?
And I really had to like face that. It was hard to just like talk to my friends about it.
The ones outside of climbing, or just or the climbers?
I think both. Outside of climbing, obviously people just say, like, I hope you're okay. Let me know if you need anything. But I think for me personally, it's so hard for me to ask for anything and to feel like I'm not in control of my life or like what I can do. Like that was really like debilitating.
Wow. Okay. Sort of being able to asking for, I personally have that issue, is like asking for help. It's because you become so reliant on yourself and self-sufficient, and then you realize like, I'm in the position where I just, even normal day to day is like even hard. But on top of that, the emotional damage and this whole new void in your life has been created. Where it's like I don't even know what to do to keep myself sane. But then I didn't even think about even the stages of the grief of like what could have gone differently. How long was the recovery for?
It took like 3 months.
3 months. Okay.
It was tough because I remember thinking like, it will be recovered or healed in like 1 month, 2 months. But I remember when I went to the doctor and I went to like a specific like sports doctor, and I remember when he gave me like the timeline, I was just like crying.
Oh.
And the doctor was like, you'll be okay. Like, he just didn't know how to react, you know? And obviously, you know, he's just trying to do his
and
best.
He knew that you explained to him like what you were doing and all these things. And has he seen a climbing person before?
I think he's seen other athletes, and for hockey players, it happens often. Yeah. So he just gave me a timeline based on that experience. Okay. But honestly, there were some other friends who had dislocated an elbow, one from hockey, one from climbing, and when they did actually tell me how long it took, I think that's when kind of my hope dwindled, because my expectations were I was going to heal like in a month, and I really had to manage my expectations that it's going to take longer than that. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a really hard. I mean, they said 3 months. They said around that, and it was around 3 months. It was. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's really hard, because it's like you could be really optimistic. And in some sense, I'm sure, especially like having to recover from the first injury. Yeah. How long was that one setback? I think that was 3 months too. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. And were you sort of prepared mentally because you had done it before, or was this one a little bit different? I thought it would be harder the second time. Yeah. Like, I remember a friend telling me, like, you got through this, you can do it again. Yeah. And it was harder. Okay. I think it was just because that I became more serious about climbing, and I just invested so much time, like my lifestyle revolved around it, that there was like this void. Okay. So it was the first time that I explored other things I've been neglecting. Yeah. For a while. Yeah. And so I just, I tried to fill it up with like doing yoga, just journaling. And I finally like went to therapy for the first time. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, and that was last year. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So how have you been? I'm sure that helps through a lot of different things in your life, but especially that sort of situation that you're going with. Yeah. Did you help? I guess having gone through the first one, the first injury, and not having therapy, and then having the second injury, like, was that one more helpful? Like, having a therapist, was that more helpful to get through that one? Yeah, I mean, I was pretty religious about going to like physical therapy and going to therapy for my mental health. Yeah. I remember my physical therapist also telling me, I mean, he was just a dad. He was like, you're not getting paid. He's like, why are you doing this? Oh, like, yeah. And I was just like, just help me. As an athlete, like, because I'm sure some other athletes that he's working with, they're probably paid, it sounds like. Yeah, I think so. And I think he apologized the next session. Yeah. Because I didn't need to hear that. No, especially in the situation that you're in, because it's like you're emotionally going through a lot, and you're just like, I need just people to help me through this process. Yeah. And not try to like create more mental strain on you. Right. Okay. So having the therapists and whatnot, I guess we don't have to go super deep into it, but I started to go seeing a therapist probably, I think I'm almost like 2 years in now, and like I haven't had, knock on wood, but go through injury and having to like talk through that whole process. But I'm sure it probably helps so much, just like, I mean, I guess we were kind of talking about it, but I'm just, did they even understand what, I guess the physical therapist, like, that's why I asked about if they had seen a climber before, because the climbing mentality is a lot different from other sports, I feel like, because we're so sort of masochistic in a way of like just subjecting ourselves to like so much pain, and then when it's taken away from us, it's like, what the fuck else am I gonna do? Right. But I guess, did your physical or your the mental therapist, did they understand like where you were coming from? Like, even did they understand what bouldering and climbing meant to you? I think she tried to understand, but it's difficult. I think only people who really boulder and who are as dedicated would really understand like how difficult it is to have something like I feel like there needs to be, actually I have a friend that became a therapist that was like a pro climber, and I feel like he probably should see like climbers specifically for therapy, because
to understand what, maybe he'd be too close. I don't know what that means professionally, but I'm kind of just going on a weird tangent, but I'm just like, they understand like what it means to us, and like when it's taken away, it's like losing like a loved one in a way. Yeah. So, but yeah. So you did a lot of, I guess, you had to go through a lot.
I listened to a lot of like podcasts, read a lot of like content just about how to get better. And it's weird because I remember reading these stories about climbers like getting better through like injury, and I mean, I'm on the other side now. Right, in hindsight, now you're right. But I remember like thinking, what, it seems so far away at that moment.
Spoiler alert to everybody, she's climbing strong as ever now.
Yeah, I'm back. But I had to like literally like say my affirmations every morning. Oh wow. Yeah, okay. just to mentally like not trick my mind, but to like rewire like my thought process and my perspective that I'm gonna get better and I will get through this.
Right, because naturally everybody, when they wake up, especially when you feel the pain or just can't literally move your arm, it's like it's reaffirming that you are in this state now. Okay. And then but you had to just, did you find that that process helped a lot? Yeah. Because a lot of times, we tell ourselves what we are all the time. It's a narrative, and it says, I am this, I am that. Right. And if you just change that just a little bit, it makes a big, huge change in your life. I've had to do it to myself a couple times, but it's more of like improvements. But yours is literally just like a dramatic black and white sort of event, and then you had to just do that. Okay, that's wow. Okay,
it was tricky because I had a trip coming up to Font. So like the injury happened in May or April, and then the trip was in September, and so all I thought was like, I need to get better before I go. And I did, and it was scary because Font in France is known for like slopers and mantling. Right. So
wow, okay, so it's like back to like a little bit of PTSD.
I had to face some devils for sure.
So I guess going on that trip and then having to face those devils, those demons, like demons. Are you still kind of in a head block when you encounter those moves?
I was definitely like traumatized, like any high heel hooks, like I became very adamant about making sure the pads are placed correctly, making sure someone's spotting me. But the body and the mind is resilient. Like sometimes it's kind of crazy how I forget sometimes that even happened. Oh, really? Oh, so you're just now even to the point where like, oh yeah, that did happen. Like, oh, okay. Or like, I remember when I first started climbing at cliffs after my injury, like even just on V3s, I was so scared. Right. Of course, the body's telling me like, you're not strong enough, you're not stable, but you also have to like also fight that too. Yeah. Okay. And you just actively had to, as like you would do a physical exercise, in your head a mental exercise to like get over that. And it sounds like you are over it for the most part, or is it just kind of like screaming back at you every now and then? Well, I definitely want to go back to the climb.
Oh, okay. Oh, send it. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I need to get my revenge.
So I guess with that footage that you have of it, do you plan on when you do revisit it,
of course,
and when you
I'll make a video, I'll make it real.
Okay. Oh, is that okay? Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, that would definitely. I think it would be important for a lot of people to see. Because I don't think I've seen it very often, but I've seen people with redemption climbs. And I don't. Oh, it was the one that I saw was for Scatterbrain. This guy like popped the pulley, and then he went back the same year and did it, the sit start. But I'm just like, but it's just it is a pulley. He snapped it like I think it was a full tear. But I'm sure, I haven't seen the footage, but I'm sure it's pretty insane.
I can show you it if you want to see it.
I mean, if you want. I don't know right now, but I'd love to, but if you feel comfortable with that, but. Damn. Okay. So, I mean, now it seems like, I'm sure in some point in your head you had a lot of aspirations. Like you had a whole map set out in your head where you were gonna go with that season and what climbs you want to do. What you said it was May. So like, were you planning in your head like, all right, when Bishop season comes along, climbing season, like I'm gonna get on this climb, that climb. Like, did you feel like once you got back on track after the injury, you were still on set to hit those goals?
Yeah, it was tough because I'm a pretty like goal oriented person, I have a spreadsheet of all the climbs I want to do, the grade. I have all these beta videos downloaded. I'm pretty like strategic, and I try to have a goal within a certain like timeline, and I really had to like manage my expectations.
Right.
And my relationship with climbing has changed a lot. It obviously in the beginning was like for fun, and then it got pretty serious where I remember sometimes like I would cry if I didn't like send a climb, or I'd be pretty upset. And I think I became so attached to like to sending or like to getting a climb that I forgot to celebrate even the small wins or just the small progress with a certain like climb or a certain route. I guess one thing I'm asking, or something that happens to me, but when you do send, like, you expect yourself to hit these goals, when you hit them, are you pretty celebratory, or do you celebrate quite a bit after you do it? I mean, I think I've seen you send stuff outdoors, you get pretty excited, but like, is it me like, all right, what's next? Like what like, it's this weird thing because like if you didn't send, you'd be obviously pretty hard on yourself, but once you send it, you would think in your head like how much pressure you put yourself on yourself. It's like, okay, like I want this so bad, but once you do it, you're like, cool, let me see what's next on my list, and it's like, wait, you just did this thing, and or you're like, that's it, it felt so easy that time.
Well, exactly. Oh my, but I guess that's the magic of sending, like once you have it so dialed in. Are you, I guess the way you go about climbing, is it like, do you have such a sureness of yourself like on each move and how you've linked it together that you absolutely know you could do it, and what makes you upset is like, you know you can do it but you're not doing it, and you're like, I know it's having two sections, it's not like I'm gassed by the first link, so you know you could do it, so it's just like that's why the expectation gets so hard. I think I'm probably like, it's probably harsh to say this, but I feel like some people expect themselves a lot to like send, but I honestly don't think it's in the realm of possibility sometimes, because like they're not being strategic. But I've seen you climb outdoors and you're very dialed, like what was it, Crouching Tiger? I just saw like every single move, like you didn't make the same mistake again, pretty much, and then when it looked like it was all set in stone, you sent it. So it's like, I think you're a very calculated climber, and then like I think that probably speaks to like your expectations. Like if you know you could do it, you can actually do it, so you're even more upset because you're just so close all the time. And as you know, as boulders, we always blame it on something else, you know? It actually, one of my products that I don't know what kind of type of skin you have, but it was really, really cold out, super dry, and I was slipping off the beginning of this climb, and I just was like, I never had problem with this part. What's going on? And it literally was because I needed to like hydrate my fingers. And then, but I guess like I could have blamed it on that too. I was just like, oh, it's my fucking fingers. Like they weren't sticking enough, and whatever. What excuse do you usually like to throw out there?
Me? I mean, oh gosh.
I'm sure. Okay, I guess one that I use
a lot of excuses.
No, but I think a very valid one is like, you're 5'1". As we spoke, I always forget how like your size, because it's like, it seems like you're taller to me, because I don't know why in my head you are, but 5'1". There's a lot of different beta you have to use. So do you find yourself like, okay, well I can't do the move that this person's doing, so it's like, do you find yourself like kind of blaming that sometimes, I guess? Sometimes, there's definitely some climbs I know I physically can't do, but then sometimes that's the funnest part about climbing, like figuring out your beta and what works for you. And it's so much fun collaborating with other people, and I think for me, being a shorter climber, like it's just that much more rewarding when I can do a climb and figure out for yourself. I totally agree with you. I have a really bad it's a different generation of climbers, because you go on YouTube, you can see the beta, and then like I'm like, okay, I have all, but I remember there was a point when I started climbing where, I just found all of this beta myself, and it was a little that much more rewarding. It was, because I think now we're like, we gotta save skin, like we can't give as much tries, so
I feel like some of that was taken away with like, let me see the beta first. And,
yeah.
Like, try it.
Okay, so you saw that transition as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I always wonder what the older generation, like there was obviously people, the term beta is from beta tapes.
Right.
Yeah, and then so they're like, oh, let's go check out the beta. Like that's where that literally came from. So they were seeing what people did, but we don't have it. They didn't have it so readily available as YouTube, and like you have 10, 20 different people doing a climb, and you're like, oh, they did this, maybe I could do that, whatever.
Yeah. But, I mean, now we like record ourselves, like rehearsing. I don't know if you do that, but my friend did that. He rehearses his beta.
Okay, wait, actually
records himself.
I think I know he has a kid now, right?
Yeah.
I met him at Bitch Lab.
Oh yeah, in Red Rocks.
Yeah,
Kevin and Nadia.
Yeah, Kevin and Nadia.
Yeah.
I showed up at Bitch Lab, and then I'm like, see Kevin. I'm like, oh, is that the one that you went track climbing with?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wait, was that a Kevin?
And it was Sherman.
Oh,
Sherman,
okay. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up with the Asian Kevin.
Oh yeah, Kevin Wang.
Yeah. Sorry. There's so many.
There's so many Kevins.
Yeah. So I went to Bitch Lab, and then I see Kevin.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? And then I get to the top. Because you've been to Bitch Lab before, right?
Oh, no, I haven't. But I want to try that.
You would fucking crush it.
Yeah, everyone tells me to try that climb.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you... Michelle was trying it.
She was working it, yeah.
Yeah. You guys are similar size?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
We both like crimps, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, keep on getting sidetracked. But I go up and I see Kevin, and then I go up to the top of the climb, and I see his wife and his kid. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here?
They're so inspiring.
Yeah. That's another reason why I just wanted to like sort of just have a conversation with people. It was just like, how do you like? I've seen some people with kids out there. I'm like, man, you guys are like, this is actual effort. Like this is another layer of effort that you have to put into be able to do the thing that you love.
Yeah. No, they lived in a van, and we got to meet them at certain spots while they were on their trip. And then they had Vera. They live in Idlewild, and it's just been inspiring for me because obviously Nadia had to take time off and she was pregnant, and now she takes Vera on these trips. And Vera is a trooper. When I did Spinning Venom, it was like snowing and I was like trying to climb. Vera was just playing. Like she was fine.
I think was that like in your stories or anything? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I saw that. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah. So and then we were just talking, and they mentioned that they knew you. I'm like, oh yeah. I was like, I'm gonna interview her soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, totally sidetracked. I guess we were talking about just projecting in general. So. Is there what big projects do you have in mind for yourself that you feel like is in the very like close future?
I'm trying to shift my mindset now to like projecting. Definitely want to do a V9 this year. I did Spinning Venom, which is like V8/9, but I tried Bittersweet in Joshua Tree.
Yes.
It's near the campground. Pretty heinous crimps in the beginning, and then it's weird because it's not tall, but the last move is a mantle, and so I went out with a group of friends. We went out to Dabrig first, and I remember having some anxiety because I knew those were the two climbs we were going to do that day, Dabrig and like Bittersweet. So I just had to wait until they were done.
You had these nerves.
I'm like, okay, like I'm going to get to my project. Just got to be patient, you know. Also, like I was just anxious about, am I going to send it or just, how am I going to feel about the climb? And it's hard because when you're at your limit, you only have like a few best goes. But I got to the top and I bailed, and it's totally fine. You got through all the moves. I got through all the moves.
Oh wow. Okay, so Ascend is coming soon.
I was pretty happy. I think I've just learned to just give myself more grace, and I just wasn't ready to commit, but it was one session. It was like the second sation. Okay. That's looking pretty good. Are your projects like, what's your longest project, I suppose? I don't even know. Sometimes there's just projects where like you go back after a year and you're like, oh, this is way easier. Okay. That's like the most like confirmation that you have like absolutely like instead of just continuously like revisiting and just like pulling out your hair, it's like, okay, I'll just come back to this when I'm stronger. There's some projects that you have momentum, you need to like do it. You know you can get it soon. And then there's some climbs like, all right, never mind. I'll come back next year. Yeah.
Has there been a couple ones where you were very optimistic at the start, but then realized like, oh wait, maybe this isn't really like, and then you were kind of in the fully invested mode.
Yeah.
Like even after the first session, and then down the path, you're just like, I definitely need to, like, you underestimated it. There's definitely like a few climbs, like there's some like classic climbs I still want to do, like Tour de France and black. You can totally do Tour de France. Yeah.
Every time we go, it's just the end of end of the day. Okay, so I just want to give it like a good session.
I'm surprised, you haven't sent it yet.
Oh yeah, there's some climbs that like I haven't sent, like Iron Man Traverse. There's so many climbs.
Okay.
Yeah, Tooth Fairy and Tramway, that's my nemesis climb. I hate that climb.
Tooth Fairy. Tramway.
It's next to Year of the Cat, I think.
Is it on the same boulder?
No, it's like in that area. It's like,
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, there's just some nemesis climbs out there that I want to finish.
But yeah, V9 this year and this 2023 is like even into like the new season or like the end of the year season, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just lucky we can climb every season, but I definitely feel a bit stronger. I've been, lifting more, just training more my core, and I guess one thing I also really wanted to talk to you about, and what was in my notes, was I'd known you for a while, or just like we've known each other for a bit, and there was absolutely a moment where you just skyrocket, like you made this like huge leap in climbing, and what helped you in that transition, like to get there? Was it like a very logical thing, or like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna train more, or was it more climbing just in general, or I think before COVID I remember just climbing always at cliffs, and I said, I'm gonna go hangboard, and I just never did. But then COVID happened, and I think that gave me the opportunity to just like dial in terms of like training. I built my own like parallel bars, so like I would practice like the L-sit, and I just had more time to do yoga, so I started practicing like my handstands.
You get handstand?
And I think that really helped in terms of like core, keeping tension, but also understanding where my body was in space. So COVID just was kind of a blessing in disguise, because I just got really regimented about like hangboarding and training, and because that's all I had time.
But I feel like, were you pretty like regimented, like, because I feel like people initially had like, I'm gonna start training, I'm gonna like do this, and then 2 weeks go by, and especially with everything else happening in the world, it was just like, oh fuck, like they just fall off the bandwagon. You were pretty consistent. I think I just had to like plan out every week, what was my workout for that day, when was my rest days. And then I remember I had like my iPad Pro, and I would just like take pictures or like of like certain yoga poses I wanted to achieve, or like some climbs. Like I just wanted to like have a visual of what I wanted to achieve. And so like there were some climbs I wanted to do, and like you saw the positions that they were in, and then you like try to replicate that, or like try to like work on those groups. Interesting. Wow. Okay, that's very. It sounds like the way, and we were talking earlier, but you're talking about when you have a document for the climbs you want to do, and when you go on trips, you like have a catalog of like, or like a. Sounds like a spreadsheet of what you're doing that day and whatnot. And sounds like, is that like comes from work, or is it like you've always just been that generally in your life, very organized? I would say I'm pretty organized, but working a job at the computer helps too. Helps. I mean, I work on the computer all the time, but I am so disorganized. But maybe it's just one of those things that I just have to force myself to do. So you felt like COVID was definitely a beneficial thing for you. Which I don't hear a lot.
I know. I quarantined with my family, and working out was my time as a stress relief. And I remember I wanted to build a moon board. Everyone
a moon board, not just a woody.
No, like, or just like get. actually built it.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn,
So I
okay.
started looking into like getting it. Like some people started doing it, so I was asking for advice.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember like my dad and I went to Home Depot,
Yeah.
and my mom was paranoid that we were out there, and then I
Right.
remember me and my dad kind of like fighting about like what to get.
Yeah.
And like I told myself, okay, let's just try to build like a hangboard together, Dad.
Right.
So
baby steps.
yeah, let's just do this first. I remember like he didn't measure twice. I think, how are we gonna build a moon board together?
Yeah.
So that, yeah, I gave up on that idea, and that was just when the gym started opening up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You were getting relentless of, or just like
Yeah.
restless of like not being able to. How long were you without, like, how long did you go without climbing?
Oh, I did not climb for a while.
Yeah.
Like I just we hung up the hangboard like on a rope, like on a tree. So I just
Oh.
hangboard in our backyard.
Just did that.
Yeah.
And that helped maintain your tendons and everything.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, me and my friend, we built a woody in like a 4x8 in the garage, and
Nice.
I honestly, like, I think since I started climbing, I haven't gone without 2 weeks of climbing without. Yeah. And then that definitely helped do that. But you were going also out to. Did we see each other out in, what was it, Angeles Crest? What's the Horse Flats?
Horse Flats. Yeah.
Going there a little bit. Yeah, that was a good spot to hit up.
Yeah.
Because you had to like park, like it was a long.
Oh yeah. You had to park far, right? Because the campgrounds weren't open.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But even before the campground, there was the.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember? Did you go then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember like it was. I remember some climbers started going when it was like okay to go, but obviously we all communicated like, oh, are you comfortable, whatever. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. I watch old YouTube videos and people are like climbing with masks.
Yeah, it's like such a weird, like, at one time I remember I felt like a little embarrassed to like I mean, not that I'm like against wearing masks or anything like that, but I'm like, this is very of the time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's some people maybe still be wearing masks. I don't want to you know, but especially in the gym when there's like tons of people. But so yeah, you basically were able to hold out until the gyms opened back up for a short amount of time, then they closed. But
right, I was going crazy.
yeah. And then it just seems like you've been on a very upward trajectory since then, as despite your injury since COVID and everything like that. And is it mostly like you're more rigorous about like weightlifting and train or hangboarding and all that now?
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to still keep my schedule of like doing max hangs and repeaters. I'm kind of experimenting with hanging on the front three, like my
just like this.
That front three and the back three. And when I first did it, hanging on the back three was it was so hard. But then I feel stronger. But I recently like watched lattice training. They're like, oh, you should start training. Like,
so you do a lot of research and watching YouTube videos and stuff. As much there's so much information out there, but it's hard to decipher like what is you should be concentrating on,
right?
And it's just it's definitely been, like, as I said in the beginning, super inspiring just to see that. And I'm like, maybe I should be getting tips from you now. Like, I saw you like weightlifting one time, like, I think do you work on your like lower back a lot too? Yeah,
I usually do like deadlifts, bench press, like overhead press. Yeah.
I think I have a really weak lower back because I know when I do weighted pull-ups, like I always have like it's tweaked.
Oh really? Yeah.
So I don't know if that has to do with having a weak lower back. But yeah.
What do you do for like weighted pull-ups? How much weight do you add?
I do 40.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, and then I do like 5 reps. I know there's like the max hang, like just 1 or 2 or whatever, but I just feel like I probably could learn from you a bit because you're more informed. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. And then I don't know if you want to keep on going. We're about an hour or 55 minutes.
Yeah.
But is there any other topics you want to like get into?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think this is a good hearty conversation.
All right. Any last remarks? Any like little tips to throw anybody out there for anybody?
I mean, for anyone who wants to reach out to me, feel free to contact me.
Yeah. She's probably one of the most friendly people at the gym. So catch Audrey on her YouTube channel and see all her sends. See if you could actually watch. I don't know how many are there. How many videos?
Oh man, I have so much.
I try. I don't think there's an actual way to see how many videos there are. But like I was just like trying to like get a number at least. Seems like there's over like 300 or something.
I think so. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Catch her there on Instagram. But yeah, thank you so much for
thanks, Ryan,
coming on and chatting with me.
I had so much fun. Yeah.
All right. Cool.